So, question that many people are considering at the moment: are so-called vaccine passports the future of flying? With the aviation industry faced with yet more restrictions, as we've heard recently, than ever before, concerns have been raised on how we can safely resume tourism once coronavirus figures have decreased. Many countries have hinted at the prospect of a vaccine passport to move a little more freely. Yesterday, we heard from Boris Johnson, who said it might be inevitable to enable foreign travel. So how would a COVID vaccine passport help reignite international travel? Question that I don't have the answers for, thankfully. I can rely on the greater experience and knowledge of the head of operations of Sarin & Co, Vinamra Longani, who joins us live on the line. Morning, Vinamra.
Good morning. How are you? And thank you for having me on the show again.
So let's put that question to you. Vaccine passports, are these the future for flying?
Let's be honest. We've had something similar in the past. I mean, there used to be an international certificate of vaccination issued by the World Health Organization. I mean, this was popularly known as the yellow card, for those who remember, which has for decades provided travelers with analog proof that they have been vaccinated against yellow fever. And this was issued by the WHO, the World Health Organization. Now, a vaccine passport in its current shape or form, as we discuss it, is essentially an electronic sort of government-issued document which confirms that you've been vaccinated. Now, in theory, yes, these documents would allow countries to clear travelers upon entry without the need for quarantining or testing, which is great for international travel. And at least for now, if put into practice, would enable a small but growing population to get back to life, as it were.
In terms of the efficacy of such a process, one's assuming that the efforts of one country are to be applauded, but in terms of this working properly, you really need a global buy-in.
Exactly. That's the real issue here. I mean, while different nations are working on establishing vaccine passport programs, this scattered approach may not have an impact it ideally should, as nations may not recognize these passports issued by other nations. I mean, for example, the European Union now has plans to set up a common EU-established vaccination certificate that can be issued by member states to their citizens and will be recognized by others. But then what we end up with is a bubble where people within the European Union can travel, and then you've just got to wait to sort of see if others across the world will accept that form of vaccine passport as proof to ensure that people can travel freely. So apart from that, there are... Sorry, yes.
No, after you go on, continue.
There are other concerns as well. I mean, like I said, if we were to go back to using the International Certificate of Vaccination, which is issued by the World Health Organization, now 180-odd countries, are sort of registered with the WHO and, would follow that and accept it. But the real issue at this point in time is the WHO's current position is that authorities globally and airline operators would not introduce requirements of proof for COVID-19 vaccination for international travel as a condition for departure or entry. I mean, given that, like you rightly said, there are critical unknowns right now regarding the efficacy of the vaccination in reducing transmission.
One would assume, therefore, that without the ringing endorsement of the WHO, that this would be something of a non-starter, given the fact that they are the sort of de facto go-to for information with regards to COVID-19.
Well, like I said, I mean, it would ultimately mean there would be small bubbles. So the European Union one would ensure people can travel within the EU. Let's say there is one which is established by the UK and accepted by India, for example. I mean, this is just an example. That might work. But then we've already got bubbles as of now, air bubbles. And, instead of putting a vaccine passport in, and you could really just mandate anybody coming in with a certificate. Again, the point is, the older certificates which were issued could be forged. So this one apparently is going to be issued electronically. And then there are concerns around data privacy and leaks. So it's not as straightforward as it sounds. And in principle, it sounds like a great idea. But it's the implementation and how sort of countries will get others on and have some sort of consensus which will really help resume international travel.
Mark got in touch with us a little earlier on. He sent us this message saying passports for pets, now for vaccinations. Many countries already require you to carry your official vaccination card anyway. Therefore, it's not rocket science. But as you're just suggesting there, Vinamra, in terms of some of the potential pitfalls here, and we're all very much aware of cybersecurity, data and privacy acts will play a large part here.
Absolutely. I mean, going back to the UK, now health data is essentially limited. I mean, that access is limited to the NHS in the UK. Now, do you get a third party in to build this? Do you share the data with them? How do other countries, for example, if you leave the UK and you fly into the UAE, on arrival, how do they cross-check if your passport, which was issued electronically, is valid? So, that would mean access to that data to foreign nations. So, it is more complicated than it sounds, in all honesty.
Just finally, I mean, you have your ear to the ground when it comes to all things aviation. You have close links with a number of airlines around the world. Is this a must for airlines? What's their sort of take at the moment in terms of vaccine passports?
Well, it's good that you ask, because the CEO of Qantas, Alan Joyce, had a while back gone on record to say that, a proof of vaccination would be something that would be required in the near future if you wanted to board a Qantas flight. And there was uproar in the industry because, we need to understand the vaccination drive. The pace of the drive is such that it could take a considerable amount of time for the world to be vaccinated. Plus, it's fairly uneven. I mean, they say the Western world might be able to vaccinate up to 60% of the people probably by the end of this year, which is what is needed to break the chain of transmission, whereas countries like India and China would only manage that at the end of next year. So, if you make this mandatory for travel, that's basically restricting a lot of people to getting on a plane, which is restricting their freedom to travel in many ways.
Vinamra, really appreciate your time as always. Thank you very much indeed for shedding a light on this. It's not contentious, but certainly highly debatable conversation at the moment. A lot of people talking about vaccinations and the potential vaccination passports. Our thanks to Vinamra Longani, Head of Operations for Sauren & Co, for setting the agenda with regards to that conversation.